There we go. All right, let's get Facebook in here. We can start the show. Kicking off here on a Friday. Man, wheel spinning. One and. Uh-oh. Well, there we go. Okay, well, we'll see if that one holds. But welcome in, guys. It's morning. It is 6:41 a.m. Mountain Time, Friday the 19th. Happy holidays. I am Nick Kendall, joined by Eric Trickle. This is Broncos for Breakfast. We got Dylan behind the scenes helping us out again, so you guys can be on your worst behavior again, although Santa's watching this time of year, so make sure you walking out. Oh, there goes Facebook. I knew that would happen after it struggled there. Hopefully that's not a problem. Thank you, Dylan. This is Broncos for Breakfast. Like I said, man, Eric, it is a lot of fun to be here. Obviously, the holidays are right around the corner. This will be the last episode in this location for me as we head back to the homeland here. How are you doing? And you look a little different since I last saw you. Ears maybe a little larger. What's going on?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm a little tired. Kid is sick and started throwing up
Everybody's
last
sick.
night. And whenever she's sick, it means I go sleep out on the couch because she just wants her mom. And so she goes and sleeps in our bed with her. And I don't really sleep on the couch, but I'm doing good. And yeah, it's that time of the year. And normally I wear, the holiday hats, the Santa hats throughout the month of December, but kept forgetting to grab one. And last night, before the kids started throwing up, she decided to grab one for me and told me to wear it. And well, here I am.
I'm glad you didn't throw up in the hat. That's a win there.
Oh, she did. You just can't tell.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can smell it, but no, we have just disgusting. People turning off. We're gonna talk a little bit of Broncos Jags today. Maybe I don't know for Denver Luke or somebody in here. Maybe we'll do a mock draft. We'll start to look ahead. I mean, we got the college football playoffs right around the corner as well. Speaking of Denver Luke, we want to say hello to you coming in here. It says good morning with the coffee emoji. I will drink to that. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, whatever you want to say. I don't care. It's my favorite coffee mug, so I really enjoy this time of year. It's got like just the perfect handhold on it. So sip for Denver Luke and the 199. Appreciate you so much. Ah, man, I do like the flavored coffee, Eric. I will admit some people think that's treasonous. I'll put the creamer in it. Makes me happy. Michael Ronquillo coming in also makes me happy. Says, good morning, Nick and Eric on Broncos for Breakfast. Go, Bo Broncos. We got the thumbs up coming in from Juan Rivera. Appreciate you, Juan, over on Facebook, I think. Make sure you guys click the thumbs up, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. David Youngkin coming in here. David, hope you're doing well, buddy. You've been in the front of my mind here with all your health concerns going on. So I know it's the holiday season. That can be just an added pressure on top of it. So hopefully you're feeling better and glad you can join us. Every time you're here, it's a good time. So he says, don't think the Broncos overlooked any team this season. Yeah, I mean, I think they're well enough coached and they have their good enough character in there that they haven't overlooked anybody. I think if they've overlooked anyone, though, it's probably the Jets game. Right? Just because I don't know if that was the overseas stuff, but that game was just an affront to God all around. That was so ugly to watch. They got the win, but that was one of the ones that is just like you're covering your eyes the whole time and feeling sick to your stomach. So I don't know if they overlooked them or if they just didn't fully show up, especially with what we've seen that Jets defense look like a lot this year. They're one of the worst defenses, and Denver made them look really good, but got the win in the end. That's what counts.
Yeah, I'd say the Jets were even the first game against the Raiders, kind of looking ahead to the game that was coming up next.
Titans week 1, maybe too.
It's hard to overlook I think Titans week 1 was more so just the pretty standard week 1 struggles that teams typically show. Those would be the two games that I'd say they possibly overlooked, but it's tough to say for sure with this team, with how just how bad they were offensively, because it wasn't that they were tearing up and lighting up the league and then they went into those two games and they struggled. They were struggling pretty consistently up to that point. So I'm not sure they really overlooked them, especially with this coaching staff. They've been really focused all season long. I mean, even after clinching a playoff spot, the celebrations in the locker room were held to a minimum because, as Sean Payton has said, they still had more work to do. They still had, there's still the division title. There's still the AFC. There's still the top seed in the AFC. There's still, on and on and on, that they couldn't really take that time to sit back and relax and enjoy it because it was on to the Jaguars pretty quickly for them. So they've kept that focus throughout the season. So I'm actually in agreement. I don't think they've really overlooked anyone this season. And if you can make an argument for it, it would be the Jets or the Raiders.
Yeah. It's tough. I mean, every game in the NFL is tough. I keep saying that, you can't overlook anybody really. You see it all the time. It's not like college football where you have the SEC scheduling a SWAC school in November where they're beating them 60-3. Yeah, it's the NFL. Anything can happen. Obviously, not every team is good enough to win the Super Bowl, but in one game, it's such a matchup-based league. You can have some crazy results. So appreciate you, David, coming in here. Good morning. Good morning. We got Juan coming in with our thumbs up over on Facebook land. He says from Midland, Texas. Well, hopefully you're having some good weather. We have like a hazardous fire warning in Denver today, I think, because of the wind and how dry it is. So I still have my power right now. It's not super windy yet. I think it starts at about 10 a.m., but I think power might be going off in some places just to prevent transformers, blowing over and causing wildfires. So crazy. It's been a unbelievable weather time on the West Coast, on the west side of the continental U.S. I don't know about where you're at right now, Eric, but Washington, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, we're getting slammed right now. So hot.
But you guys are getting hit with all the windstorm that we got hit with about, the first couple weeks of December that absolutely wreaked all sorts of havoc. A little bit more up north than where I'm at, kind of in the valley, a little bit north of Anchorage, but it was pretty bad up here, and it just swept down your guys' way. And hope everybody's being safe with how bad the winds are.
Yeah, I saw some winds somewhere in Wyoming they captured. It was 144 miles an hour. So like you're talking Category 4 hurricane level. I mean, haven't heard of any fatalities, but it's nuts. Speaking of nuts, Perry West coming in here, 2193. Appreciate you, Perry. Says, good morning, guys. Always good to hear you come in, say hello, click the thumbs up, all that good stuff. He says, I think the beginning of the season team may have overlooked a lesser team, but teams are trying to work through their weaknesses. Yeah, for sure, David. We got Gizmoda Saint coming in here, says, hit the like button. Appreciate you, Gizmoda, coming in here, and happy holidays to you and yours. And let's get into it, Eric. I think the first things we want to kind of talk about here is the Broncos injury front coming out of this game. The question that's mostly on my mind is Brandon Jones right now. Obviously, he's not going to be available for this game. He's been put on IR. Is it official that Broncos are going to be punished for getting the bye week? I'll put it that way because I'm irritated about it. Not that he'd be ready anyway, but punished for having the bye week where if they didn't, he'd be ready potentially a week sooner. Is it still going to be the carryover? So it's 4 games even jumping into the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't like the rule when the change when they made it. Instead of 4 weeks, they made it 4 games. So the bye weeks no longer count for, the being able to get called off of injured reserve. So it does extend his, absence away for another week. But from what I understand, even if it was 4 weeks and not 4 games, the time frame would probably still be about the same for him. Because it seems to be about a 5 or 6 week injury, and that kind of aligns with putting him on injury reserve, even if they do get that first round bye in the playoffs and, go from there. I would say so far it's been good news with Justin Strnad, who hasn't yet been put on injury reserve. And from what it sounds like, it doesn't sound like that they're even considering it. Obviously, still things can say, and it's been relatively good news, depending on how you look at it, for Ben Powers being back this week, as they waived Calvin Throckmorton. And, they needed to clear up a space on the roster for Ben Powers to be activated. And now they have a spot, and it makes sense to, part ways with somebody that's at that position. They want to bring Throckmorton back on the practice squad where they have 2 available spots open. And we'll see about the other one, because Karine Reed had his practice window open as well, as they're looking at getting him back out there on the field, especially with Justin Strnad, dealing with an ankle injury.
Yeah, and based on the injury report, it doesn't seem like Strnad is going to be available this week. That's not surprising at all. But when he went down, I thought that was the season ender, broken ankle kind of thing. And he still might not be back the rest of the regular season. I guess that's possible. But I think if he was going to be out potentially 4 weeks, he probably would have gone on the IR. So we'll see. We do need Reed to get back out there. And the other moves, the Broncos of maybe kind of ran through a bunch of them. They waived Calvin Throckmorton. We're keeping an eye on that. But in tandem with that, they did sign another interior offensive lineman onto the practice squad as well. Somebody they brought in for a 30 visit, I believe, in the run-up to the draft, in Nash Jones. And obviously, recently as well, proclaimed Cody Schrader off of the waivers from Houston, and then released Sincere McCormick. But the biggest news, I think, Eric, on all of that, Brandon Jones is probably the most impactful given what the outcome is, because he's going to miss maybe until the AFC Championship game, assuming Denver can get that far. RJ Harvey might be good to go after the rib injury, and with all the moves at the running back position, considering, I mean, I don't want to completely, disparage guys because they are NFL players, and I'm sitting here on my butt under a blanket talking football, but Jaleel McLaughlin, Tyler Bidet, not very good options for the Broncos. And I mean, don't get me wrong, RJ Harvey's got some issues as well, but he is the best in the room, and they need him. And it does sound like he is going to be playing this week.
Yeah, it just sounds like I can't remember who it was. Somebody was kind of wrote about it in an article, and it just kind of made it sound like that the rib injury was more so like getting the wind knocked out of him type of thing, where he was just a little bit sore from the hit. So that's good news because, as you said, McLaughlin and Bidet, man, it sure would be nice if Denver would look at upgrading over both of them, because neither one of them are, they're the guys that you like to keep around on the practice squad as insurance for injuries, not guys you want on the 53-man roster.
Not so hopefully
Denver, yeah, definitely not starting, not playing key roles inside your offense like they have been. So hopefully Denver looks at upgrading that. And one thing going back to with Brendan Jones real quick, with Denver having clinched a playoff spot and, injured reserve activations and everything, Denver gets 2 extras in the playoffs. So all playoff teams get 2 extra for them. So they get the 8 for the regular season and then 2 more. They've only used 4 of them so far. So they still have 4 to use. They're likely, Ben Powers, Karina Reed, that's probably 2 of them. So they still have options for it. And then, Brandon Jones and J.K. Dobbins, those very likely could be the 2 for the playoffs, and it all carries over. So if they don't use all 4 of the remaining ones before the end of the season, they carry over to the playoffs as well.
Well, that's great news. It's great to hear about RJ Harvey. The bad news is that it looks like a pretty pitiful running back 1, running back 2 draft class coming up, but there are going to be some options in free agency, and given where this Broncos team is at and where Sean Payton, how he values the running back position, I imagine they'll make a relative splash at the spot. I mean, you got Rico Dowdle, who's out there. Granted, the way they play him makes me very concerned about his pass protection, but he still has a role, a valuable player. You have a guy who's coming in this week that we might want to talk about here, and Travis Etienne, and then 2 of my favorites, somebody we saw last night he's boomer bust, but man, I just cannot quit the explosiveness. Kenneth Walker is a free agent. I think he was one of PFF's top 5 free agents, so I don't know what his market could be. Then you got Tyler Algier, who's a little bit more of a battering ram, doesn't have a lot of tread off his tires because he's been behind Bijan for 3 years out there in Atlanta. But I think Walker or Algier are my favorite too. And who knows? Could see like last season where a lot of these guys are gobbled up before even hitting the market. But I don't know, given what the running back class is and have a chance to go to some good teams, if I was some of those guys, I'd be interested in hitting the market and seeing what I can get, because contract 2 is typically it. If you're lucky enough to be a running back and get contract 2, pretty much over after that for those guys. So do you have any thoughts on that?
I think the Broncos will be active in free agency. I think they're going to be looking for another wide receiver, tight end, running back. I think they're going to be really focused on adding, to their offensive weapons, which have been questionable throughout the season. Mm-hmm. They're still looking for that real legit number wide receiver 2. They're looking for that inline tight end, and they're looking for another running back. I do expect them to also keep in communications with J.K. Dobbins about bringing him back and extending him. And I don't think that precludes them from still going outside of, Denver and picking up a free agent elsewhere, and just, again, rebuilding this running back room that needs it with how it's looked this season. So I think they're going to be very active in free agency, trying to add to their offense and adding more playmakers and weapons for Bo Nix to try to build more consistency in the early part of the season for this team.
Oh, Dylan, he was fine. He was spamming the chat a little bit, but that's okay. That's too bad. Duval TV con. You're a little quicker on the trigger. You guys be on your best behavior. I tend to be a little bit more lenient, but that's okay. We got Perry West coming in here, $16 for week 16. He says, "Let's go Broncos." One of 3 teams in the NFL that have clinched a playoff spot after the Seahawks' unbelievable win last night. Eric, I know that you don't typically watch football unless you have to sometimes, especially the holiday season. You love it, but it's work. But man, that was probably the best game of the entire year so far, in my opinion. Did you see the 2-point play though? The one that everybody's kind of going nuts about?
Yeah, the one that the refs blew. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, They blew it dead. They shouldn't have blown it dead, I guess. I don't know. Wade Phillips was on there. I don't know if you saw on Twitter. Wade Phillips was defending the call, saying like defensive coaches and players, you have to pick the ball up. Period. If you don't do that in that situation, you weren't coached well enough. So he said, don't put yourself in that situation, and said, just be smarter.
Yeah, I mean he's not wrong. It's in situations like that you still protect yourself and still protect it, and then calls and everything like that. And you still pick up the ball. It's why I can't remember who it was. I saw somebody today say that the two things can be true: the refs blew the call, and then whoever it was smart for grabbing the ball and securing it.
Charbonnet.
Charbonnet. Yeah. I couldn't remember who. So, and defensive coaches, as Wade Phillips said, they should be training their defenses to do that. And honestly, the game shouldn't have come down to that. To that play, the Rams defense, they had a big lead in the Rams defense. They kind of blew it.
They gave up a special teams touchdown. They punted. They didn't punt like the first 6 drives and punted 4 times in a row afterwards. I mean, the kicker missed a field goal. So it doesn't ever come down to one single play. But man, that was a battle of heavyweights. I'm pulling for Seattle over the Rams. I don't have any love for LA. Personally, I know that there's some bad blood because of 2013 and also the Russell Wilson stuff with Seattle. But I love my Pacific Northwest brethren out there. So, and also I didn't like the uniforms last night, but I like the Seahawks uniforms a lot of times. So good game, a lot of fun. I would say that game was cash money, if you would. I don't know if that ages me or that makes me hip, but we do like talking cash in here as well.
Yeah, speaking of cash, the holidays are all about finding the perfect gift, but this time of year, not every deal is actually what it seems. Scammers are getting more creative to trick people into sharing their payment info through methods like fake shopping sites and giveaways that are too good to be true. Luckily, Cash App's 24/7 fraud monitoring helps detect and alert you for unusual card activity should someone gain access to your card, so you can act fast if something seems off. You can also lock or unlock your Cash App card instantly right in the app for extra control and peace of mind. Stay one step ahead of scams this season and keep your money secure with Cash App.
For a limited time only, new Cash App customers can use our exclusive code to earn some additional cash for real. Just download the Cash App and use our exclusive referral code SECURE10, that's SECURE10, in your profile. Send $5 to a friend, and within 14 days, you'll get $10 dropped right into your account. Terms apply. That's money. That's Cash App. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank. Member FDIC. Promotions provided by Cash App's a Block Incorporated brand. Visit cash.app /legal/podcast for full disclosures. Keeping it rocking and rolling here. Let's say hello to some more folks. Thank you, Dylan, for bringing up the beautiful Cash App logo there. We got Michael Ronquillo with the Jags news here. I thought this was kind of a steal, Eric, on what the market was. Jacoby Myers signs a 3-year contract with the Jags. I believe it was 3 years, $60 million. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. I thought it was an even $20 million flat. I don't know what the guarantees were. 40. Maybe they were high, but considering what the wide receiver market is, especially for a wide receiver 2 that's playing like he is, I think he probably left $15 million on the table. Is that crazy? I thought he'd be getting $25 million, especially considering, again, the wide receiver, the free agency market, given how teams are manipulating the cap these days and how the cap is inflating very quickly. The free agency is pretty ass. I don't know if that will get us demonetized, but you see all these names. Ooh, you pick the top 20 on there, 17 of them are going to be re-signed. All right. That's just kind of this. It's free agency is not as glamorous as it used to be.
Yeah. And so it's 3 years, 60 million, 40 million guaranteed, all even 20s, which is really nice for doing, cap math and whatnot. And what's funny is I saw a Raiders reporter kind of go off about it because apparently this is exactly the type of deal that he was asking for the Raiders, and the Raiders didn't think he was even close to worth it. That they didn't think that he was worth more than like 12 million per year or something like that, 13 low teens anyways. And it's just funny. It just kind of speaks to the dysfunction of the Raiders from top to bottom. There's a lot of stuff going on with, Tom Brady even being a minority owner, but wanting all the say, but that's beside the point. But this is a good deal for the Jaguars, where Jacoby Myers really has looked like the missing piece ever since he's joined. They're 5-1 and their offense has been humming. Granted, they haven't faced the toughest of defenses, but he still provides them with that key middle of the field piece that they were missing. It's really helped Brian Thomas Jr. rebound with his play. and just adds to their weapons along with Brenton Strange and, Bashal Tootin the way he's come along with it for them. Granted, he's hurt. He's not going to be playing in this game, thankfully, because he is a tough one to deal with, especially when they go with their 2 back sets. But Jakobi Meyers, he's been a great piece for the Jaguars, and I always felt that he was a very underrated receiver. Not that he was like a top tier guy, but he's always been, well, not always, but for the most part, he's been a good, reliable receiver consistently throughout his career.
And the Jags really highly investing in the wide receiver group. Kind of maybe it's that Liam Coen influence and what we've seen with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers of late as well, with how much they've invested in that group. But you had obviously trading up for Travis Hunter, wide receiver, cornerback. You had first round pick Brian Thomas Jr., who's regressed this season, but he's playing better as of late because, I guess we can just call it as it is. Like, he's a little bit soft as far as the over middle of the field, like dagger routes, stuff where like he has to, catch a ball in traffic. Not great. The vertical stuff though, given his size and speed and ball tracking, it's good. So now they have Jakobi Meyers to do some of the dirty work. Yeah. I think is probably the best way to put it as far as a receiver, not necessarily a blocker. He'll get his nose in there, but it's not Puka Nacua or Drake London blocking as a receiver. But no, it's really opened up the passing offense and the efficiency of the passing offense. I think over since week 11, Broncos, obviously that's kind of a point of demarcation for this Broncos offense as well. Since that Chiefs game, they've turned multiple pages. They've turned a few chapters. But this Jags offense, I think, is top 3 in pass EPA and pass success rate. Now, granted, they had one of the most efficient passing games of any team this season against the Jets last week, but still, they've been good there. They've fallen off, though, Eric. I don't know if you've seen the stats. They've really fallen off in their run game efficiency over that period, like bottom 3 in both EPA per rush and success rate. Now, granted, they've been using ETN and Tootin in the pass game as like an extension of the run game some, but if I was them, and I think, again, we're not overlooking the Jags, and I've seen some viral clips going around. People have been, overlooking the Jags, just they're the Jags, but Liam Coen's got them playing good football. I do think, though, I'm not as worried about this matchup as I was the Packers game. Now, granted, Trevor is beating up man coverage, but if they can't run the football and they're purely relying on Trevor Lawrence's arm to drop back when he's not been a volume passer, and I don't think that's how he wins the best. You're talking about 3rd and long, obvious pass downs against a not awesome offensive line for the Jags on paper, and this Broncos pass rush could be a long day for Trevor Lawrence. I feel good about that matchup, honestly.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good about this one in that matchup because the offensive line is not good. Not that they're terrible or anything. They're not like, Raiders level bad, which I don't think there's any team that's that bad, but they're not a good unit. And, you mentioned how Trevor Lawrence has done against man coverage, but we just saw the Broncos run zone coverage 74% of the time against Jordan Love. So they've shown that. They had a few busted coverages that here and there against the Packers, but hopefully that's something that they're working on cleaning up as they're going to start. Sounds like they're going to start running more zone consistently throughout the rest of the season and going into the playoffs. But one thing with Trevor Lawrence, though, he has the seventh highest percentage rate of throwing to his first read. So if Denver can do a good job of taking him out, that actually really hurts that passing offense because he's like bottom 3 in all the, the completion percentage, the EPA when going off of that first read. He's been really bad with it. So if Denver can do a good job of taking away that first read and, make him go through his progressions and with that disruption they can create up front, I think it could be a really long day for Trevor Lawrence. This is one where I don't want to say it's like I'm as confident that Denver will win, but I think Denver will win.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. And if you are feeling confident about that game, where the Broncos are going to do passing yards, maybe this is another good Bo Nix games, and you feel like, so confident you want to put a little bit of cash from Cash App on it, you got to check out our friends over at Underdog Fantasy.
Yeah, football season is in full swing, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Are you ready to get off the bench and into the game? Then head over to Underdog. Whether you're into basketball, football, hockey, or any sport in between, Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action all season long.
That's right. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats such as rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and much, much more. Get your picks right, and you could win up to 5,000 times your cash.
Yeah, so many people have so much fun playing Underdog and winning money while watching football. That's a touchdown, you guys. Download the Underdog app today and sign up with promo code MHuddle to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code MHuddle. Millions of fans have already won billions making picks on Underdog. Will you be next?
Be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Must be 18 plus, 19.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dylan, for getting that up there. And shout out to Underdog. I want to say hello to David Youngkin here. Hopefully there we go. Hopefully feeling better. Hopefully you have a good holiday. We'll see you next week. We got Ernie Mays in the house. Let's go Broncos country. Sunday we go 13-2 against the Jaguars. Hopefully we got Kay coming in here over on Facebook. Appreciate you, Kay. Click the thumbs up on the way in as well. That always helps us a heck of a lot. Like, subscribe, share. Find us on YouTube. Become a member. All that great stuff. But they say, good morning, Broncos country, with the football, the orange heart, and the blue heart. Repeat again. Let's run it back. Good to see you, Kay. Appreciate you coming in. Hope you're having a great Friday and a happy holiday season as well. Denver Luke having flashbacks of PJ getting cooked by the Bills in the playoffs. The Broncos have Hufanga now, and they have a little bit better of a offense on the other side, so hopefully they can play some ball control. And also PJ Locke was playing pretty hurt last season at the end. He came in and played good football. Let's just call it as it is, good football against the Packers, and a small sample size still, but he was flying around, ready for his opportunity. And this is a chance for him to make some life-changing money for him as well. So I hope he steps up to the plate here and gets a good contract wherever he follows Vance Joseph this offseason. But that was a bad game against the playoffs. There's a reason that they, added Hufanga as well. I think PJ and Hufanga are a little bit closer in their play styles or usage than PJ and Brandon Jones. But, you make do, and we'll see how the rest of the guys around him compensate. We'll see if we see a little bit more 1 safety, 4 cornerback looks as well. We've seen him play with that a little bit in preseason. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see the usage, but I'm happy to have PJ in there. I'd rather have Brandon Jones, of course, but as far as your third safety, it's fine. Now, we did obviously, huffed and hawed a little bit about the contract this offseason, but happy to have him right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, and, as you said, he played well against the Packers, and there was a lot of issues with the way they were using PJ Locke last year. From what I understand is that they felt that the way he was best utilized was too similar to Brandon Jones, and so they weren't able to do that. And, when they had to ask him to do one thing, he really struggled with it. And when they're using Brandon Jones to his best abilities, then when they flipped it over, PJ Locke did a little bit better, but Brandon Jones had a little bit more oomph to his game, I guess would be the best way to put it, to handle that. So they just had issues with using him. That's why they went and got Talanoa Hufanga, who can be that different piece in that room. So I'm curious to see what he's going to do. Obviously, there's concerns going back to last year with, some of the play against the Bills, some of the play during the regular season, but he's also made a lot of impact plays during the course of his time starting last year. And as you said, it's a good chance for him to earn some money, and rooting for him ever since, I wrote about him years ago not making the 53-man roster. And as soon as he did, he sent me a DM calling me out for it. So wish him nothing but the best, and wherever he ends up, wherever Vance Joseph ends up. But this is a great opportunity for him, and just hopefully he's able to go and grab hold of it and make the most of it.
And on paper, this is the toughest matchup for him and probably this team going forward. Now, granted, they're all tough to some extent, but the Jags are the most complete team the Broncos have left on their schedule. The Chargers, Denver, I feel kind of scared to say that about the Chargers because we're 0-3 versus Jim Harbaugh, but their offensive line is just so poor. And I think if Denver has to have it in a at-home situation, I can't see them losing it, even though Herbert's, top 7 quarterback. But I just think their offensive line is too weak. But we'll see. We got David Schlosser Jr. coming in here, says, good morning, gents and Broncos country. Everyone leave a like. Appreciate that. We got Keith coming in. Good morning, Broncos country, with the energy. Good to see you. Juan talking about running backs in the draft. You're right. In theory, Juan, The issue is that there's got to be the supply as well, and this is the down class for running back, and it's not totally unexpected because it was so deep last season with the guys that had a lot of experience. So what happens when a crop like that comes out? You kind of leave a vacancy and a hole for the upcoming class. But the 2025 running back class looks as bad as I can ever remember, Eric. I mean, there'll be day 3 guys for sure, but then you're talking about like probably the same tier of Bidet and McLaughlin. So we'll see. We're following it, but it is ideally you do draft running backs, but it's not the class.
Yeah, you have one guy that's a clear top 75 pick in this class. Then you have like 2-3 guys that might crack that, but are most likely, 80 to 125. And then you have a good number of guys who are after that. Just not a great opportunity for the running backs in this year's draft class. And on that, as I build up my scouting list and everything like that, normally I have, 60 plus running backs, and I had to keep guys that I normally wouldn't keep an eye to scout this year just to get to 40 running backs. So even the depth it's not as deep as we've seen. And it all stems from the fact that there's just, after Love, they just lack at the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You like it when there's a bunch of day 2 guys, and that just does not appear to be the case this year. We got Todd coming in here. Hello, Broncos for breakfast. We got Vulcan coming in. Vulcan also becoming a member. Appreciate you. He says, the more you talk, the more I feel like we take over this game. I think so as well. And Sean Payton, I'm so Sean Payton pilled, Eric. But in his press conference Wednesday, he was talking a bit, and he said the big thing with this Jaguars team is the turnovers that they have. They are one of the better ball skill defenses in football. They also push the ball out on a good bit. Devin Lloyd has 5 interceptions. You probably all remember the week 5 pick 6 against the Chiefs. That was like 99 yards or something. Awesome. What a wild game that was. But the Jags really do a good job of taking the ball away. Now we know that can be a bit more volatile, and that leaves you a bit more, you could be on either end of the spectrum week to week with that. But big point of emphasis for this Broncos team this week has been protecting the football. And he even used an example of, maybe there won't be as much jump balls designed in the game plan because those Jags defensive backs pretty good at coming down with the football. So the key to most games, obviously, number 1, score more points than your opponent. But after that, it's turnovers. And that is a huge one for the Jags this season. They have slowed down a bit in terms of their turnovers. Like, I think it was like through the first 6 weeks, they were +8 over anybody else or something insane. We all know that that's not a world you can live in long-term, but protect the football. I mean, this is a big one for the Broncos. And I really hope that we can see some of the 2 weeks ago against the Raiders where they were really protecting the ball and, controlling it, not putting it in harm's way too much with some calculated, drawn up, wide open shot plays. Like somebody's, just like nobody in the area code, explosive pass plays. But yeah, this Jags defense is, because of Trevor Lawrence, finally kind of starting to get it together, and some of the highlights we've seen, especially him throwing left and, using that core strength to rip some throws that are, as good as anybody in the league. People are sleeping a bit on the Jags defense, but it's a top 10 unit. Are they great? Are they elite? No. But they got pieces. They got some blue chippers on there, some high draft picks, and they're playing good ball right now, and they take the ball away.
Yeah, they're very opportunistic. As you said, Devin Lloyd, he has 5 interceptions. They have 3 defensive backs with at least 2 of them. Andrew Weingard, Jordan Lewis, and I can't remember the other one off the top of my head now.
They got Newsome. They traded for Newsome, right?
Yeah, he might be the one who has at least has 2 interceptions, but I can't remember for sure. But they're also very boom or bust. They give up a lot of big explosive plays. They also get called for a lot of penalties. Not looking forward to that in this game with the 2 most penalized teams, with the reffing crew that is the 2nd most penalizing reffing crew in the NFL this year. Probably going to be a slow one for that, but they're a slow game as a result. But the opportunities are going to be there for Denver. They just have to be smart with it. And this is going to upset some people, but against the Packers, as great as Bo Nix played, he was credited with 4 turnover-worthy plays where that should have been interceptions, at least 2 of them that fortunately the Packers dropped. You're not going to get away with those against the Jaguars, most likely because of the hands. They do have spend a lot of time on their defense, on the jugs machine, especially with their linebackers and defensive backs to make sure they know how to catch. So you're not going to get away with those kinds of plays, but so you need Bo Nix clean. And it's a good thing you mentioned the Raiders game where he didn't have any in that one, and he was playing clean. He was playing efficient. He wasn't, putting the ball in harm's way. And that's what they need out of him. That's what they need out of everybody. They need RJ Harvey to protect the ball a little bit better when running. He was running loose with it all season long, got caught with that with the fumble, which from what I get, which apparently was something that the Packers defense focused on entering the game, was making sure they attacked the ball when RJ Harvey had it because of how loose he carried it. So the teams are seeing the weak spots with where to generate takeaways with this offense. And it's on Denver to counter them by doing the work to make sure that they can't get those takeaways.
There's a kind of an advanced statistic or a formulaic statistic that Brian Billick is credited with, Eric, called toxicity index. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. It was big, 10, 15 years ago. But he was kind of somewhat on the cutting edge of what really is important in a lot of football games. And there's a lot of key statistics, but toxicity specifically deals with the differential in turnovers and explosive plays. And as we've seen here the last, 3 years and more we learn about football and what really, really matters. Those might be the two most important plays and after points or statistics after points to point to who wins the football game. Now you can obviously win games with the other way, but I don't know if you see, did we really win that bad or did we lose that bad graphic that you see on Twitter every week? And it goes with success rate. And that's obviously, your down to down efficiency matters a lot, but when you see the ones flipped, why did that happen? It's because not every play is made the same. Success rate is a binary yes or no. So an incompletion for your defense weighs the same as a pick six, right? So those explosive game-turning plays, really, really big. So you mentioned it, the explosives as well, with the Jags giving them up. Broncos hopefully finding some, but finding that balance of hunting explosive plays while also protecting the football. We'll see. What I do want to ask you, Eric, here, but first I want to say hello to some more folks. Jake coming in here. Great to see you, Jake. Appreciate you coming in. Hope you're doing well. Happy holidays. Denver Luke also with the super chat says Denver has got 10 picks this year. I mean, it's something Sean Payton talked about in the bye week, and it's the thing that's keeping this defense from being top of the line this season, is they do not take the ball away. And it's we keep saying hopefully that faucet will be turned on, but so far I have not seen it. So maybe this is the week. We'll see. But God, where was I going with this, Eric? The defense. Obviously, if you look at the advanced statistics since week 11, same point you see when the Broncos offense starts to play better, the defense has regressed some. That second half against the Packers, though, oh buddy, they were looking pretty dominant. Patrick Surtain looked like it finally clicked again for him. He was obviously good, but not defensive player of the year Patrick Surtain that we had seen this season for a lot. But that second half of the Packers game, he was awesome. The defensive line just started winning like crazy as well. Is that something we can expect again this week? And what areas specifically from this Jags team do you worry they could prod this Broncos defense?
Well, one thing with this Broncos defense all season long, they've actually been better in the second half than in the first half. Entering the Packers game, they were 12th in EPA per play in the first half and third or fourth in the second half. After the Packers game, they're now third in the second half of it, and I think they're still 12th in the first. So they've all season long, they've kind of had that, those issues in the first half and then bounce, and the adjustments are made by Vance Joseph. It's a hat tip to him for making those adjustments in the second half, and they did that. And honestly, the biggest concern with against this Jaguars offense is Riley Moss. Since he's been putting a focus on not grabbing as much, and he's been losing his guy a little bit more in coverage. The Packers took advantage of that. They got a couple big plays as a result of him losing his guy. And he's likely going to be matched up against Brian Thomas Jr. a good amount in this one. And if the Broncos and, with Brandon Jones out, they're going to have to give Hufanga or PJ Locke and shade him over to that side just to protect over the top with how explosive Brian Thomas Jr. can be. Just the communication there, especially if it's Locke and Moss, that's an opening for, an explosive play and a game-changing potential play And then you add in Moss's tendency to grab, and it stems from poor technique and poor eyes and the lack of trust in his technique. It's a concern.
Yeah. Hopefully the confidence kicks in and maybe the ball starts, finding him after that pick last week. That would be good. I mean, he had so many interceptions at Iowa. Now, granted, they kind of play a cover 4, all eyes on the quarterback umbrella coverage where he can play a little bit more like they all function almost like safeties to some extent. Maybe, and that's where Moss ends up eventually as well. Who knows? But not this year. And yeah, we need him to step up. And it is unfortunate, all the cornerbacks that had played in the league being like, listen, Moss is good, but like he's playing against Surtain and feels like every 50-50 call breaks against him 95-5. It's unfortunate. I don't know if it'll be fixed this season, and he's just got to be better. I mean, it's just at the end of the day, you just got to be better. If that's how they're calling it, then figure it out, kid. I mean, and I like the fire as well. Still at the same time, the us against the world from him, but they'll go through the film and be like, if they're calling this, you got to be better. Todd says, do you guys think the Broncos break the Bears sack record? I do not. We will see what happens. What are they off? Like 15 right now or something? Or how far away are they?
I think they have 58 in the record, 72.
Yeah, they were on a obviously great pace early, but they had a very unsustainable pressure to sack rate. Like they were like doubling up the second highest team in terms of their rate of how many pressures are actually becoming sacks. And yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, but still a great defense. And, but I don't think they play a really awesome offensive line the rest of the season. So they got a chance to, get some sacks, but as many as they need, I don't think that's possible for them. We're more on Myles Garrett breaking the single season record than anything.
Yeah. Can they average 5 sacks in the last 3 games? Probably not. But if there's any set of teams that you could look at as opening that door for them, it's the Jaguars, the Chiefs, and the Chargers, because all 3 of them have offensive line issues for very different reasons. The Jaguars, their starters just aren't the best. Walker Little is a solid tackle, but he really struggles with the types of pass rushers that Nick Benito is. And then Anton Harrison on the other side with Jonathan Cooper, who Harrison is still a technical mess. Then you have whoever is starting at tackle.
Colt Van Lannen's been playing for them as of late and playing decent football from the Badgers, if you remember.
Yeah. And then, with the Chiefs, and on Christmas Day with Josh Simmons out and Wanya Morris is out now. I don't know who they're starting at tackle. And the Chargers with all their medical issues on their offensive line, they've started 22 different they've had 22 different combinations on their offensive line this season, which is absolutely unheard of. The guy who actually did that said that the most that we've had in a season was 18, and that was the Chargers like 2 years ago or something like that, or the Saints. It was the Saints or the Chargers. But there's a chance for the Broncos to break the Bears sack record. I'm not sure they get there though.
Yeah. And we're going to start wrapping up here pretty soon, guys. But I see you guys are already talking draft. I know what you're here for. I do want to get your final score prediction, Eric, from this one. I did pick the Broncos to win this one. I do think, given the emotional catharsis out of that Packers win, how good the Jags are right now, and just, the Broncos the reality is they've been playing a lot of games and winning by the skin of their teeth where, one fluky play goes the other way and they lose, as is any win streak when it's as long as the Broncos, right? That's just football. The NFL's hard. But I do pick the Broncos to win this one. I wouldn't be shocked at all if they lost. Again, the turnover battle on this one. Nix has been playing at such a high level. 4 games, though, is still a small sample size. There could be a regression. And that doesn't mean to be out on Nix or anything, but, progression, there are steps, but there's valleys and peaks. So it could be a game where Nix does fall a bit, but I did pick the Broncos to win this one. I think I said 24-16 is what I sent in Chad. And the main reason being the Jags are running the football horrifically right now. And I think the Broncos can probably keep the Jags in a lot of 3rd and longs, obvious pass looks. And that's a recipe for disaster at home for the Broncos with their pass rush. The big key, and we haven't talked about it at all, Trevor Lawrence's legs. He has been quite the athlete. Now, he's not the most twitched up, quick area agility athlete, but he's a long strider and he can cover ground in a hurry. He's explosive as an athlete and strong as well. So Trevor Lawrence can turn the play on his head. I'd be hesitant doing that, sir, with Hufanga and Greenlaw running around. And who was it that was it? Chris Abrams-Drain who tattooed CJ Stroud? Clean hit, but you put yourself out there. I don't know, but Trevor Lawrence. I'll be curious to see if Vance Joseph changes anything up as far as contain for Trevor Lawrence, because he's been really running well, and I think he's one of the most efficient rushers, scramblers in all of football this season.
Yeah, big issue with the Broncos over the last few weeks with quarterbacks using their legs has been Jonathan Cooper completely. Say what it is. He's been playing selfish football with his lack of discipline with his pass rush lanes. I mean, Marcus Mariota had 3 or 4 of those big runs because, Cooper just lacked the discipline, the lane discipline. Even Geno Smith had a couple of them. Jordan Love had some. They need to play disciplined up front with their pass rush lanes, and that can translate into a, contain-like look without actually having to play contain, and that's what the Broncos were doing earlier on in the season. And then over the last few weeks, I don't know if Vance Joseph decided to change things up a little bit. I don't know if it was, a response to Patrick Surtain's injury and having to change things up on the back end. I don't know, but something has changed with that where the discipline up front hasn't been there with the rush lanes. You got to keep that. You got to get that against Trevor Lawrence and stay disciplined to avoid him using his legs as a weapon in this and make the Jaguars offense even more limited because they're not running the ball well. And the Broncos rushing defense has been pretty consistently good all season long outside of the Colts game. So if Denver can do that, I think that this defense can have a complete game of, almost the level of play that they had against the Packers. Obviously, they're going to give up a few more plays. I have this one being another close one, another one-score game that the Broncos eke out 27-20.
Yeah. I'll be curious to see if you maybe see some mirror rush, I think is how it's, again, some of the coach speak here, but where you have 2 linebackers out there in kind of a nickel. Sometimes, for Denver can be base as well. And depending on what the running back does, let's say the running back runs to the left, the linebacker who is across from him mirrors the running back, and then the other linebacker rushes the quarterback. Now, it could be a spy, it could be a slow rush. I'll be curious if we see some mug looks from this team. We saw Broncos do a lot of. What was that?
We'll see mug looks. That is,
but how often?
They're better.
Yeah, but
they run at the high. They run double A mug. That's a staple of this defense.
It's the highest in the NFL.
Yeah.
Okay, from that, I'm curious to see if it'll be aggressive from those linebackers or if it'll be more read with Trevor Lawrence. And then you have the green dog rush as well as an option from them. So we'll go ahead. Sorry, we'll see.
I just want to add with the double A mug look, because that was a big thing for me last week, was because they go into that look a lot and then they just drop the linebackers and teams had kind of figured it out. And so they weren't, really threatening with that look like they were earlier on in the season, and they just need to throw a wrinkle in, and they did a stunt off of it, a pirate stunt with Alex Singleton looping around and got to Jordan Love, and that was one play, but it's enough. All you got to do is do something once and it can change the way that teams are facing you and preparing for you. So now that they have that in there, out there, that is something that the Jaguars are going to have to consider, was that double A mug look and dropping Greenlaw and then doing a pirate stunt with Singleton and getting home with it. And, when you talk about this with Trevor Lawrence and the different things they can do, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that once or twice in this game.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be a good game. I'm really bummed that the coverage of the game is really poor this week. I don't know what's going on with that. I saw the coverage map. Not a lot of people nationally are going to get to watch this game, and that's surprising. I think a lot of people are going to get Cowboys Chargers as the main game, which I know it's the Cowboys, but you're talking about two really good teams in the AFC. This, according to Football Outsiders, FTN, they're not Football Outsiders anymore, but this is the most important game as far as the number 1 seed in the AFC that we'll see the rest of the season. Jags have an 8% chance. Now, granted, it's because they play the Broncos here, but this is probably for the 1 seed. when you consider all things. So bummed about that. Hopefully you guys have your very legal methods to finding the game if you are out of coverage. Final thing I wanted to get into, Eric talked a little bit of the chats in the draft. I know it's already 7:30. We do got to go here pretty soon. You talked about the Broncos attacks and free agency, and then you also talked about, the double A mug look from the Broncos. Linebackers got to be up there too for a offseason addition, considering, are you starting Greenlaw / Reed and Sanders next season? I'm curious what your thoughts are there. I've been banging the drum just because I watch him for the Falcons, and I think he would be, with how much they like to blitz their linebackers, I think he'd be unbelievable for them, and that's Caden Ellis out of Atlanta, joining his brother. His dad played for the Broncos. I think he fits the scheme perfectly, whether it be Vance Joseph or Leonard, with how much they rush the linebacker. I said his brother plays here, I think, and also he's from Salt Lake City. Like, this is stomping ground adjacent for him. So I would love to get Caden Ellis in here if we're talking linebacker. And then you mentioned wide tight end, in line, and running back. I think those are the three big spots for the Broncos right now that are the obvious free agent routes.
Yeah, linebacker just fully depends on what happens with Justin Chenard or Alex Singleton. I know the Broncos have interest in bringing one of the two back and the other one walking. It's just a matter of who it is. Right now, I kind of lean that it's going to be Alex Singleton as the one that they bring back, just because of how, much he's loved in the locker room. And that's something that they've been really prioritizing is, the locker room guys, the leaders. And he's just kind of that. Not that Justin Chenard's not. He's one of the leaders on special teams and has been since, basically since he's gotten here in Denver. So it's going to be interesting. But if, both of them chase money, which very well could, with how the linebacker market has exploded, I wouldn't be surprised if Caden Ellis is one of the guys that the Broncos are looking at. I don't think they'll look at linebacker early in the draft. I think it'll be one maybe, round 3, round 4 at the moment.
That's relatively early. I mean, for linebacker, that's what you're talking about. I think a lot of times we'll see. I think, if Sonny Styles falls to you, which he won't.
Yeah.
But it's always dependent on the talent that's available. Sonny Styles, I think, probably goes top 10 in this class. Personally, I think he's rare enough. And then Reese is going to be more edge. Then you have CJ Allen and Anthony Hill. I don't think I'm so that on them in the first round compared to your value positions at wide receiver, offensive line, defensive line, but we'll follow it. It's a really good linebacker class. Looks like it's a really good tight end class. You're not really talking round 1 for the most part for those positions, but day 2, we'll see. It'll be fun. I see Luke corrected me earlier, 10 picks. I was like, that sounds really high for the Broncos. I don't think they have 10 interceptions. He was talking about draft picks. Thank you, Luke. That makes way more sense. So for correcting that, sorry, I misconstrued that. And for the Broncos, just in general, I think, besides, I put out a tweet earlier, it hasn't changed. Linebacker, tight end, inline tight end, Thunder running back to pair a little bit more with RJ Harvey to detach him from the between the tackles game if you can somewhat. Not that he can't do it. He's got the build, just the vision and patience hasn't been there consistently yet. But somebody just takes some of the beating between the tackles for him. And in the draft, then it comes down to just offensive weapon in general or offensive line or defensive line. Just keep stacking those positions. I tend to be somebody who likes to keep the ball rolling on those, especially with how this Broncos team is built. What's turned around this team these last few years? Obviously, quarterback's playing better, but I don't know if there's a team in football that is better on the offensive and defensive lines of scrimmages combined than the Broncos in football. And that is a recipe that wins you a lot of football games, no matter the level. And I know that we already have a good offensive line, a good defensive line. The way that it becomes not good quick is if you don't invest in it. So those are the two areas outside of offensive weaponry I would be banging the drum for. What's new? If you've listened to me for a while, obviously that's just who I am. But lines of scrimmage, keep investing.
Yeah, and at some point I would expect a corner drafted by the Broncos just because of how much that they are valued by George Payton. But with this, defensive line is one of those positions where I have the stance of you should draft one every single year. Mm-hmm. Quarterback, tier defensive line, and there's a couple other. There's like wide 2 other positions
probably too. With how deep and they're getting paid right now.
Yeah, I'm wide receiver. I don't think wide receiver is not there for me yet, but it's very darn close to it because of that reason. But yeah, you just keep stacking for them with how long it can take for tier defensive linemen to develop. and for, the amount you rotate guys there and how their cost is exploding, which is natural with the salary cap exploding like it has been. You just keep stacking guys there, keep developing, working on it, because, one miss on the interior defensive line with a draft can really disrupt things if you don't invest enough in the position. And, we look at Denver specifically, they've had to do a lot of investing through free agency into their defensive line because they had so many issues hitting on draft picks. Well, it's like, darts at a dartboard. The more darts you have to throw, the better your chances to hit, and keep investing on that defensive line with those young darts, cost-controlled darts that you're looking at developing and turning into something.
Yeah. Right now, Eric, if you were a betting man, the Broncos keep their first-round pick. What's the position?
Keep it where they're at, or just keep a first-round pick?
Keep a first-round pick.
I think Denver's going to be very aggressive trying to move up the board for an offensive weapon.
Do you have a position?
Offensive weapon.
Okay. Wow, that's what a cop out. There's only one tight end and one running back, I think, that are worth a first-round pick. And
both of them, I think, are options. And then there's 2 receivers.
You think there's only 2 receivers that are first-round picks?
I think there's 2 receivers for Denver.
Okay. All right. I have 4 right now, but we'll see how it plays out. I think right now, just based on probability of what's in front of you and also the value and the risk for trading up, I think wide receivers got to be number 1 for me. I'm always hesitant in moving up the board for running back or tight end because the range of acceptable outcomes is much smaller. Like if you trade up 10 spots for, let's say, 15 spots for Love, if he's not a top 3 running back by year 3, I don't think it was worth it. If you trade up for Kenyon Sadiq, if he's not top 5 in 3 years, probably not worth it. Like that's because you look at it's like a top 5, that's way too much. Then you look at who the top 5 are, and it's like, oh, it falls off a freaking cliff. There's a lot of average serviceable players at those positions, but I don't know. It just adds risk. And then there's the opportunity cost as well. Like finding a good wide receiver in free agency or further down the board, offensive tackle, pass rusher, like those guys aren't hitting the market, and you're not typically finding them outside of round 1. So you're burning that opportunity. I'm always a little bit, I'm not saying I'm against it by any means, but I will always be like, okay, well, let's consider this. What does it actually have to work out as to be worth the move up, the ROI, and how probable is that, right? Like, oh, but look at Brock Bowers. I mean, I'll play the same game. Look at Kyle Pitts, right? Like you never know. There's no sure things in the draft. So wide receiver, I'm a little bit more okay with. Right now, if I was a betting man, and I think you were the same way with me, I don't think the Broncos have their first round pick. I think they're adding a veteran weapon somewhere. We saw them aggressively try to do that. We love our wide receivers. Okay, Sean. It's you're linked to every single one, but whatever. I don't think they had their first round pick when it finally comes time to be on the clock.
Yeah, I think they're going to be waddling their way into the second round a little bit. I think that, the link was there. They almost got the deal done prior to the trade deadline. I think they're going to revisit that, especially with the direction that the Dolphins seem to be headed.
Yeah, we'll have a chance to talk a little bit more about it as well. Obviously, I honestly think you call it almost every single big weapon and see like what's the price. Like Trey McBride, Arizona team in transition. What's going on there? The Falcons, I'm calling on both Drake London and Bijan Robinson, right? So especially in this class, I think you got a chance to add some players and go for it in this window. If not, probably wide receiver, but again, offensive line, defensive line, it's never a bad decision as well. If you stand pat and take an offensive line or defensive lineman that falls to you and fortify those strengths. So a lot of fun. I'm glad we could talk a little bit of team building philosophy and draft. Eric, I did want to ask you one more thing. I don't know if you can just tell me I can't say because of your sources and everything, but right now I think there are 5 wide receivers who are pretty much consistently mocked in the first round right now. And you got obviously your top 2 and Jordan Tyson. He's missed like 40% of his eligible games, so he scares the hell out of me, but he's talented. Carnell Tate, I mean, he's getting constantly mocked in the top 5 right now, so I'd be pretty shocked if he was available. And then you got Denzel Boston, out of Washington, and Mekhi Lemon out of USC. Those are the two right now that I think are viable. I don't think they make it to 28 through 32, but you never know. And then the one I'll toss in there is also KC Concepcion from Texas A&M, first team All-Pro, all-purpose weapon, unbelievably dynamic with the ball in his hands. Marvin Mims last year was contract. I would have tossed in Chris Bell too from Louisville, but the ACL/Achilles, I can never remember which one is which. Why do they both have to start with A? Who are the wide receivers that you would highlight there out of those first round guys? Am I missing somebody? Obviously, we know Sadiq and Love, but the wide receivers interest me more.
No, you hit the two guys that I think Denver is looking at. I'm with you. I don't think one of them is going to fall far enough for Denver to be, get up there and get him.
Concepcion might.
Yeah, he's not the one I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Carnell Tate. I think that is one that is very much a dream for Denver, almost like an Ashton Genty level dream for Denver, where they will call and you will hear the rumors about it. Just probably not going to be able to get it done. And then the other one, it really depends on where things go with Marvin Mims this offseason.
All right. Well, should be a fun one. Unfortunately, those guys, when I watch them, I'm like, that's a guy who typically goes pick 30 to 50 for some of those ones. But that's just this class in general. So final one, Eric, we're over time. I've seen him mock to Denver. I haven't watched him enough. And I know because the team he plays on, it's hard to evaluate, but it's a hard position to evaluate in general. Max Clare, round 1, Ohio State tight end. Is that stupid? Or I need to see what the testing looks like. If he tests like a freak, then maybe we can get in. He doesn't block well enough for me necessarily, but I mean, he could fill that Sam Laporta role in this offense, in theory.
It depends on how he tests. For me right now, where he's at right now, he's right in that 40 to 50 range for me. He's a guy that I just got to just over the last week. As I've been trying to get more into it. I'm with you with the way that he is best utilized. It's kind of that Sam Laporta role, that big slot type, but that's kind of where it's at. But I actually have to run. A sick kid and my wife has to leave for work. So
God bless you. Sorry, I just wanted to talk draft stuff. You can run. I'll get the reads.
Hope you guys have a wonderful week. I'll see you later tonight.
Yeah, peace. Make sure you're following Eric at Eric Trickle. I'm at Nick Kendall, MHH. Also follow us at Mile High Huddle, Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. We're over at Spotify, all that good stuff. Subscribe, like, and share. Shout out to all of our super chat givers today as well. You guys are killing it. Denver Luke a couple times, Perry West, Vulcan becoming a member. We appreciate you. Thanks for all the kind words. I don't know if we do know ball. We're not going to say everything that everybody likes or agrees with, and we're obviously we're not always going to get it right as well. But call us out when we do. We don't take ourselves too seriously. And, it's about the community and having a good time and just, talking ball and getting a little bit smarter and open-minded to the process and just the team in general and enjoying the moment. I'm really much about enjoying the moment. Yeah. First time really watching y'all really know ball. Appreciate that so much, Vulcan. Appreciate all you guys. Have a great one. Hope you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy the college football playoffs this weekend as well. We got Oklahoma, Alabama tonight. That'll be a great one out there in Norman. And obviously got Tulane at Oregon. JMU at Oregon. You got Tulane at Ole Miss. And then the one I'm most excited about is Miami versus Texas A&M. But it's really good. I kind of look at the bracket and I'm like, we probably could have done this with just 8 teams. And I think we probably would have been good enough for me. I think those last 4, it's whatever. But it'll be fun. Starts tonight. And yeah, gotta love it. Shout out to Dylan as well. Welcome back, Dylan. Hope you're feeling better. You guys have a great one. Kindness and compassion, as always. Go Broncos.